Everyone, so Scream 7. We may end up getting some information as soon as today because as of today, time of recording this video, April 3rd, CinemaCon is supposed to be taking effect, and they have a panel which may end up leading to some information for us. Now, there was an April Fool's joke that I saw going around that got a few people. I got tagged in a couple things saying that we're going to get our first little teaser trailer or whatever. That's not gonna, I mean, they literally just finished filming. That was an April Fool's joke, that got some people, which, there's all kinds of stuff going around. But we may get some type of information. We might get some type of updates, maybe a little poster, right? Like Scream, you saw in Scream 5 released a bunch of stuff at these little cons, and we got all kinds of like little posters and stuff. And they started the marketing extremely early. We didn't start getting the little teaser trailers, like even the little 10-second ones, till, about 6 months out or whatever it was from the actual film itself. But we did get posters like almost immediately, right? Like they had like just finished filming, and like within like a month, we ended up getting the first like little poster, and then they started doing like little collabs and stuff, and doing these like little commercials, like the Airbnb thing. You had like the TikTok show, and then you had like filter. Like Scream 5 did an excellent job with the marketing of Scream and really kind of just geared things up. I mean, it's still to this day probably one of the best marketing campaigns I've seen, given how vast it was, how many collabs they did, how they like really utilized social media and stuff, and it led to success. They kind of cooled it with Scream 6. I mean, they still marketed it more heavier than like, a Scream 4, which like nobody knew, like people didn't even know it was out until it was like already out of theaters, right? So it seems like they've kind of learned their lesson. I'm curious to see how much do they kind of ramp up marketing? How much do they actually kind of put into the marketing budget for this upcoming Scream? Because now you don't have Melissa Barrera. Now you don't have Jenna Ortega. You're bringing Sydney back. She wasn't in the last film. You could get a lot of people that are like, wait, what's going on, right? Like, so I do think using Sydney as like a marketing tool, Nev Campbell as a marketing tool, and obviously there's all the announcements of Stu Macher, and you got Roman and all these. They're releasing those to build the hype, right? Because why spoil that stuff, right? Which leads me to believe or is curious to see what is the twist, what is the thing. A lot of people think that it's going to be Stu Macher returning. We'll see, who knows. But my point is that I do think you have an opportunity to really kind of market this in a way that can really attract audience members, build the hype, maybe even have some Stu, like little trailer or whatever, where you're kind of hyping him up and 30 years ago, Stu Macher and Billy Loomis, blah, 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 right? And then, it was all orchestrated by Roman. Do you remember, some of you might remember the Gale Weathers, fake documentary, right? With the Woodsboro murders and stuff. That would be cool to do something like that, where you maybe are telling a story or whatever on the past, and again, just kind of building hype to these returning characters and stuff. But again, don't expect there to be some huge thing we just got the first look at Stu in a new Ghostface costume or something. I don't think it's going to be anything like that. It's probably going to be minimal information. It's probably just going to be some insights. People will probably ask some questions. They'll probably do some Q&A. We'll probably get a little information about, whatever, the filming and, certain moments or whatever. And kind of the direction that they want to go with this Scream film, the dark tones, the intensity, Ghostface himself. They're not going to give us any important details. They're not going to be like, oh yeah, the killer is, or anything like that, right? Or I don't expect them to have a full-blown trailer or something like that. Could they maybe have pieced together some old footage of Stu and Roman and things like that to maybe get some people hyped and maybe do a little presentation? Sure. But I don't think you're going to get a trailer or a little teaser trailer with any type of new film, new type of information. Maybe they have something archived back from 96 or something that they could put together, which I do think would be kind of cool. I'm sure that they have all kinds of old footage and old kind of scenes and stuff that never made any of the Scream movies that they could maybe put together some type of reel or something to get people pumped, get people excited, and then that blasts all over the internet. Now people are talking and all that stuff, right? There could be something like that that could really kind of drive an audience, but more likely than not, it's just going to be generic, basic information. Like I said, maybe we get a little poster, or maybe we get some information that like, hey, we're doing this collab with whatever, with this gaming company or whatever. Like, I think you'll get something that is worth talking about, something that is exciting, but I just don't want people to get their hope like, oh, are we going to get confirmation for this? And like I said, there was the whole April Fool's thing that was going around where people were saying, hey, we're going to get a trailer at CinemaCon and stuff like that. So look out for that. And that was an April Fool's joke. Like I said, that got a couple people fell for it, which is fine. It's April Fool's. I just completely stayed off of everything, right? I had videos already like made and stuff like that from information from, a day or two earlier. But with April Fool's, it's kind of like you don't know what's real information, what's not real information. People kind of use that to their advantage, which is, all in good fun. It's all in the good spirit of it. I've made April Fool videos. I didn't do it this year because I want to keep everyone on their toes, so that way, oh, you didn't do it last year, so maybe I'll do it next year. Keep that in mind. But no, usually it's in good fun. It's not like anything crazy. It's just some like fun type of video or whatever. And plus most people know it's April Fool's, don't fall for the gimmicks or whatever. But like I said, it's in the spirit, it's in the fun. But I just wanted to kind of clarify for some people because I got tagged in a bunch of stuff that was like, oh, hey, Fate, they may have a trailer or whatever. They're not going to have that. But they could have some information. They're going to have a whole announcement of stuff. Paramount has all their things that are slated, and you're going to get Q&As, and they're going to, hype up all their films and be like, oh, this is out and that is out and this is out, and you'll get some Scream stuff. Maybe you get some little gimmick where Ghostface is there in a costume, and maybe it's the new costume. That could be cool. Every Scream film they've had little subtle changes to the robe or the mask, and kind of done things to, again, just subtle. Sometimes it's just the nose or the eyes or, a little glimmer, right? So maybe they do something along those lines where we get the first look at the new Ghostface robe and mask, and it's just oh, we, added stitching to the sleeves or, something silly. It's always something minor. But I'm excited for Scream, obviously, regardless. But it would be cool to kind of get just a little information. Nothing crazy. I don't want to spoil or ruin this film by any stretch, but just something, something nice that we can, get a little excited for, get a little pumped and see what ends up happening. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion and I pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? First off, are you excited for the upcoming Scream? Secondly, what do you want to see in a potential? Do you want a little old archive teaser? Do you want maybe a Ghostface appearance and maybe they do some announcements or something? What would be kind of your ideal scenario outside of, like I said, a full-fledged trailer? Because again, the film literally just wrapped, right? A week ago. I don't think that they're going to be able to have and put together an actual trailer. But either way, let me know down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel. What are you doing? Hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.